the basic Excel spreadsheet. So these boxes, Excel calls them cells. Those are columns. I can click right at the top and get the whole thing. And these are rows. Clicking at the side, I get the whole thing. I typed in a little bit of data, and you might notice that you can't read all of that. So we want to do some resizing, right? So if I wanted this column to be shorter, I can click the whole column and then see how the cursor changes, and I can slide that around and do it however I want. I could also do that for a group of columns. I can make them all a little wider, and then you can see my stuff better. Or if I wanted them narrow, ooh, maybe not that narrow, but if I wanted them narrow but things don't fit, I can choose this right here. It says wrap text, and you can see what it did was it made that just kind of flip around so that everything fit. I could center it, I could do it on the left, whatever I want here. I'll just leave it as it is for now. If I wanted some borders in there, I'm going to choose this right here, and I'll just put borders everywhere, but there you go. And then if I wanted to add some more columns or something like that, I forgot something, then I can just click and go insert column, and it'll insert one right to the left, or I could click with 2 fingers and insert that way. Same with a row, I could insert a row, and awesome. So I forgot the average. So next, notice I put the label up in the top of the column, which is actually really good because Excel says, hey, there's a number, 10.8. But if I do this, then it shifts to the left, and it thinks, okay, now that's a word. And you can't do any calculations with this if it has the label right on it. And so putting the label up in the title is a lot better. Now I already have this set so that it says 11.0. If it just said 11 and I wanted it to have that 0.0 in there, or if I wanted to add a 0 in here, then I just use these buttons and I can add more or less decimals to my answer. So you can choose a whole column and fix them that way. Or I could do it individually. Either way is totally fine. Next, I didn't put the trial number in there because I wanted to use that to show you something. So I don't want to type in all the trial numbers. So what I'm going to do is type the first one, and then you see that blue box there. If I hover over it, the hand changes to a black plus, and I can drag that whole thing down. Now that's not super useful as just ones, but it will be in a minute. But here I can fill series, and it'll just add one each time. So especially if you have a long list of data, that can be really useful. I'm going to do a calculation here and show you how that could be useful, but type an equal sign because that tells Excel, hey, time to do a calculation. And so that equal sign, now I'm going to click this right here. I could type D3, but I click there and it chooses that mass. Density is mass divided by volume. So I chose the mass. I do slash for divide, and then I choose the volume. And hit equals. And hey, it did that calculation for me. That's really awesome. You could do that on a calculator pretty easily though. But if I do that drag again, put that black plus, and I drag the whole thing down, then notice what happens. This is D3 over C3, D4 over C4. It automatically changes the reference so that it's doing the calculation for the specific set of data that you want. That's really cool, especially again if you have a lot of data. One more thing, you can see that I have this formula FX right here. There's a formula tab. There are a lot of formulas in there. If you want to poke around, there are so many, most of them not super useful at this point in your life, but you may use some of these other ones along the way. The one that we're going to use today is just an average. So I'm going to type equals average, and it'll just pick it for me. I can pick average like this, and then you see it has parentheses, and then it tells you what to do. So if you don't choose it, you do have to put those parentheses in there, and I'll show you that. So I'm just going to choose all the stuff I want to average and hit equals. And hey, it did the average for me. Isn't that wonderful? So here, if I wanted to type it myself, I would have to put that parenthesis, highlight what I want. But of course I wouldn't do that, because what I would actually do is put this black plus on here and drag it across, and it's then going to find the average for everything that I made here. I'll change up the decimals, whoops, wrong way, and then we've got a beautiful spreadsheet. If you have some time, you might check out this section too. There's some sorting options in here that could be sort of useful. You could sort things alphabetically, you could sort them by number, and then all the formatting is right here, so you can change the text. And last but not least, when you're printing, if you want to print so that it just shows on one page, sometimes this can carry over to too many pages. This button right here is really useful. Fit to one page. And now if I print it, it's going to fit everything that I've got on one page. Otherwise, it'll stop where those dotted lines are and create a new page.